Right guys, so I recorded this entire video before game week 2, and to be honest, most of the things I say, I agree with. Man United, they're playing Brentford right now. They've completely thrown out my Brentford prediction. It made me look like a real idiot, but I'm going to keep it in because it's only one game. Maybe it'll still happen. But yeah, keep that in mind and enjoy the video. Hi guys, and welcome to the first ever video on the Charlie K channel. I don't know how you found me, but I'm glad you did. Basically, what this channel is going to be is a hub for all sort of football things. So that could be vlogs, me talking to you, match day experiences, documentaries, and everything in between. That's what I'm going to be planning to do. So, mainly focusing on the two Nottinghamshire clubs because I am a supporter of both of them. Controversial, we'll move on to that in another video. But on the topic of controversial, let's talk about my controversial opinions about every Premier League club. Hi, I'm Charlie, by the way. I forgot to say my name. Charlie K YouTube channel. Why not subscribe whilst you're here? Stick around. Love to have you here. So guys, I'm going to kick things straight off with AFC Bournemouth. We'll go in alphabetical order, shall we? And here's one that would have shocked me until probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and will shock you guys probably still now. I think Bournemouth are going to stay up, and I think they're going to stay up comfortably. And here's why. I think the combination of players that they have in the squad, you've got a lot of pace in your Taverniers and your Zamuras, and then you've got the physicality of the Billings, the Lermers, Kiefer Moore and Dominic Solanke. And I think it's quite a combination that is very championship, don't get me wrong. There is a real championship core, not saying the championship level, but there's a championship core in that team. And I think it'll work in their favour, to be honest. I think the physicality will catch teams by surprise. And that's exactly what happened in game week 1. I don't know when this is going to come out, hopefully before game week 2. I don't think it will. But if you look at game week 1 and you look at Aston Villa, it's exactly what Bournemouth did. They bullied them all over the pitch for the whole 90 minutes. They were physical, they were driven, and they made Aston Villa look very, very average. And with the investment that Villa have made this summer, they're anything but, or at least they should be. So yeah, really, really impressed with Bournemouth. And for that reason, they're not finishing lower than 16th for me, I would say. That's my opinion. Bournemouth will stay up comfortably. I won't be so nice for everyone, but if we're going to carry on the theme of being nice, let's move on to Arsenal now. And here's one for you Arsenal fans. You guys are going to finish in the top 4. You're finally going to get your return to Champions League football. You are going to finish 4th. It will be 4th, but Champions League football nonetheless. And I think you can't not be impressed with what Arsenal have done this summer. When you look at the signings they've made in Jesus and Zinchenko and Vieira, as well as the sort of retaining of William Saliba, who was obviously on low Ligue 1 last year and was a fantastic player. He looks a completely different player, by the way. And he looks so good from what we originally saw of him at Arsenal, albeit very little. And I think under the guidance of Arteta, who likes to play this certain sort of quick, passing, exciting football, I think they can only get better. And I think you look at the core squad that they've got with Saka, Odegaard, Emil Smith-Rowe, Martinelli, and now Jesus in that forward line, who I think will be the signing of the summer. I just think they're so dangerous on attack, and it will scare teams. It really, really will. And for that reason, Arsenal guys, you're finishing 4th. I did say I wasn't going to be so kind for everyone though, and here's my first negative. Aston Villa. Aston Villa, you guys are a great club, you know, share the same sort of history as Forest in terms of winning a European trophy, so, you know, there's respect there from me. But Steven Gerrard will be the first manager sacked this season, and if you look at the statistics, right, so he averages 1.21 points per game, which will get you 45 points in a season, which is exactly what they had last year. Finishing 15th is the sort of average over the past probably 10 years is where that sort of point level will get you. And considering the investments they've had in the squad this season in the summer, with the likes of Diego Carlos and Boubacar Kamara, as well as the permanent signing of Coutinho, I'm not sure the Villa owners will be content with the 15th place. I don't think they will. I think they'll want to see progress, and I'm unsure that Gerrard, despite how good he was at Rangers, I don't think he's the man to take Villa forward. And for that reason, controversial opinion, Gerrard will be the first manager sacked this season. Sorry, Aston Villa fans. Brentford now, and who doesn't like Brentford? They are the small fish in the big pond. They're the fairy tale story, they're the underdogs. But I'm going to act like I don't like them for a minute and just say that I think they're going to be the worst attacking team in the league this year. And some of you are probably thinking, but they have Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney can carry the team. To an extent, I think that's true. I think without the creative support of Eriksen, there'll be an element of that lost. And I don't think Damsgaard, who is a decent player, and we all know he's a decent player, will be enough to replace it. He's very injury prone, which is, not that Eriksen wasn't. We all know what happened, but I don't know. Can I say that? But I don't know. I just feel like it's not really looking good in terms of the attacking force for Brentford right now. I think Mbeumo is a good championship player, and I think Keane Lewis-Potter is unproven. So maybe he'll bring that element that Brentford need to prove me wrong here. But currently, I can't see them particularly performing well in an attacking sense, and for that reason, I have Brentford to be the worst attacking team in the league this year. But I think you'll stay up, so that's a positive. But next up, guys, is Brighton, and here's one for Brighton. This is probably not that controversial, but they're a very just sort of, you know what you're going to get with Brighton. You're going to get good football, possibly a lack of consistency, but overall an entertaining time. And last season, Brighton finished 9th, which is their highest ever league finish. And that was fantastic. I'm sure a lot of Brighton fans are very happy, but it wasn't European football. But this year I have them going one step further and finishing in 8th. And, I think that's Conference League football. I think Brighton will just continue to get better under Potter. I think that the loss of Bissouma looks at the time to be a big loss, but it's not really affected them that much. I think if you look at their game on Sunday against Man United, what they did so well and what they do so well consistently, and why I think they're going to finish so high, is that they adapt to every team they play against. They're so good at sort of picking up on their errors. Even if they're errors that these teams aren't necessarily making every game, it's almost like Brighton read the game and sort of program and find solutions to these weaknesses that these teams are showing. And United on Sunday, for example, just going too high, constantly going too high and leaving a gap in the back four. I think Brighton took advantage of that really, really well. And I think that's very promising. And that's one of the many reasons why I think Brighton will be finishing in 8th and Conference League football for them next year. From Conference League to Champions League, or maybe not. We're on to Chelsea now. And I'm sorry, guys. First prediction out of the way. There are 4 better teams than you in the league, in Arsenal and my top 3, which I'll go into later. That's not my spoiler. That's not my prediction. My prediction is that I think Koulibaly is going to be the flop of the season. And that seems controversial after the performance he put in his first game in the league. He was fantastic. Really, really good. But he's aging. He is aging, and the problem with Koulibaly that I think will shine through this season, he has a tendency to be dragged out of the defence because he's such an aggressive player. He plays in such an aggressive manner, which is fantastic most of the time. But we saw it against Liverpool, and we saw it against Lazio with Immobile, constantly exploiting this. Drag Koulibaly out, and if there's no one faster behind him, and there's not going to be if Thiago Silva is the main guy at Chelsea again, then there's going to be trouble. It's going to leave a gap. And just like I said, Brighton did in their game against United, teams like Brighton will find a way to carve them open. And I don't think Chelsea will reap the rewards of that. So, although big money was spent on Koulibaly, I'm not sure it was money well spent. Time will tell. This is more of an instinct thing, really. But my prediction here is that Koulibaly will be the biggest flop of the season. Now then, moving on to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, this one is a bit of a weird one for me because I'll be talking about a former Derby player. And it's not Luke Plange. I think Luke Plange will be good, but I don't think this is his season. We're talking now about Malcolm Ebiowei, who I think will be the Premier League young breakout star. And I think Crystal Palace have a tendency to buy EFL players, the sort of skillful flair ones, for fairly decent prices. You look at Eze and Elise as 2 examples of this, and I think Ebiowei will follow in the footsteps. He is so good. In the few glimpses we've seen of him this season and in pre-season, he has looked fantastic. He's fast, he's intelligent on the ball. Off the ball, he's making the correct runs and supporting both the central midfielders and the attackers. And I think he's the full package. I cannot speak highly enough of Malcolm Ebiowei, which, if he was at Derby, complete opposite. But that's how rivalries go, isn't it? I think he's an absolute corker of a player and a fantastic signing. So for me, Ebiowei will be the breakout signing, and I reckon probably nominated, well, I do think he'll be nominated for Young Player of the Year. A big call for someone that's not made more than 1 Premier League appearance in his life, but that's how good I think this boy is. So, time will tell. Now we're on to Everton, and this one is going to shock a few people again. Everton have fallen off at the moment. The fact that this is a controversial opinion is sad, because Everton are a club of such stature and of such history. I think they're going to comfortably stay up. I think they're going to be fine. I know a lot of people are rooting for them to go down. I think sort of a big name. I don't think they've ever been down, have they? For the neutral fan, there's sort of an excitement that one of these untouchables may just slip down into championship games and Rotherham away at the weekend. That sort of vibe. But I don't think they will. I'm not a massive fan of Frank Lampard as a manager. I'll say that now. But I think they've shored up at the back with Tarkowski. But the big thing for me is the signing of Amadou Onana, who looks incredible. I am basing this off a few showreels that I've watched on YouTube. But once you've watched this video, go and just Google Amadou Onana, because he looks to be absolutely quality, an absolute powerhouse of a player. Everton, you'll survive. You'll be fine. One team I don't think will be fine, though, is Fulham. I'm sorry, Fulham, you are the first of the 3 relegated teams I'm going to talk about today. And it's not for lack of trying. I think the performance against Liverpool on Saturday was an incredible game to watch. I think you completely played them off the park and were quite unlucky not to win the game, to be honest. But I think you'll be found out. I think the tactic that they'll go with will be found out, in the sense of mainly utilising set pieces, because Mitrovic is best when he's in a set piece situation. I think that's fair to say. And I think that'll become too readable, and I'm not sure that Marco Silva is a coach who can adapt to anything more than that, really. But I could be proven wrong. The one thing I do think for Fulham, though, is that Mitrovic will get 15 plus goals this season. So a little bit of a contrast here in terms of their fate. But I don't think Mitrovic alone will be enough to keep them up. And for that reason, Fulham, I'm sorry guys, you're going down. Moving on now to Leeds United, and I'm sorry, we go from one relegated team to another here. I'm not convinced by your summer signings at all, and I think you've lost Rafinha and Phillips. And I'm not sure Aronson and Adams are going to be the guys to keep you up, to be honest. I think Christensen looks like a fantastic player. I'm really impressed with him so far. So to a certain extent, Mark Roca, I think he looks very good. But I just think a defence that has Ayling and Cooper in 2022 is not a defence that's going to keep any club up. And I think with an injury-prone striker like Bamford is, it's a shame, really. Leeds, I think last season was the start of your decline, and I think it's just going to continue. So for me, Leeds United under Jesse March, who I think will be sacked at some point in the year. You guys are the second of my 3 clubs being relegated. I'm sorry. Another team that I think will be in trouble, maybe not get relegated, but will certainly struggle this year, is Leicester. And this is not a Forest-Leicester rivalry thing. There is no Forest-Leicester rivalry. I live in Leicestershire. I really don't mind Leicester City, but I think they're really going to struggle this year. And I'm worried about the lack of signings. Their squad is inflating as itself, and that is why they're not signing players. They've got an aging, inflating squad. Their transfer window last summer was an absolutely shambolic window, and I think Vestergaard was probably the flop of the season, wasn't he? And yeah, I think if you lose one of Maddison, Tielemans or Fofana, and it's looking like you'll probably lose Fofana to Chelsea, I think you guys are in trouble. I think you're in a lot of trouble. I don't think you'll get relegated, but you're not gonna be the team that challenge the top 6, as you guys have sort of got used to being. I don't think that's going to happen this season. I think it's going to take a few seasons for you guys to get back up there. I think you will. A club that has run very well, and I think you'll get back up there, but not for a while. I think a lot of change needs to happen. Leicester, at best, 10th. At worst, 15th, I think. So yeah, Leicester, it's not going to be a glamorous season for you. So now guys, we're going to move on to Manchester United, and this one's a bit of a weird one for me, because growing up I actually used to be a Man United fan, which is bizarre. And I used to have like a United bedroom. I had United wallpaper, United curtains, United duvet. I had a teddy called Rooney. Like, I was obsessed with Man United. And another one called Van der Sar, actually. Van der Sar was one of my favourite players. But those days are long gone, and I mean, it's not controversial to anyone other than a deluded United fan, but it needs to be said. It's the only opinion anyone can have right now. Man United aren't finishing in the top 4 or top 5. They're 6th. They're 6th at the very, very best. And I think it's a sad situation when they're linked with Rabiot and Arnautovic to replace Cavani and Pogba, who were 2 better players but still not good enough for Man United, or certainly didn't perform for Man United. I think Pogba has the ability to, just never really got off onto the front foot there. I don't think anything's going to change until their owners go. But there is a saving grace to all of this. I do think they could win the Europa League, and that's the first of 2 European champions that I've predicted. I've not predicted one of the competitions, but it's so unpredictable that who knows. But I do think United will win the Europa League. I think they stand a very good chance. I think it'll be the only way they can qualify for the Champions League this year. And we've seen Ten Hag with Ajax before in the Champions League pull off miracles. And maybe this will be the miracle that Man United need to get back onto the front foot of English football. Fingers crossed for them. But yeah, Man United not finishing in the top 5, 6th at best. But a Europa League win might be on the cards. Now I'm going to skip over Liverpool and I'm going to skip over Man City because, as you can probably imagine, they're going to be in my top 3. We'll keep those to the end just so, you know, keep you guys holding on, intrigued. Hopefully you're intrigued as I'm just talking anyway, but if not, something to stay for, or you could just skip. It's none of my business. But if you're still here, we're moving on to Newcastle, and specifically one player, and that player being Bruno Guimaraes, and my word, what a player he is. The game on Saturday against Forest, he tore us apart. I don't think I've ever seen a player just sort of bully a football team like Guimaraes did to Forest. He was immense. Everything that they did positively ran through him, and there was so much that they did positively. His intelligence on the ball, he was cutting our defence open very, very effortlessly, and maybe that says more about Forest than it does about Newcastle, and maybe I'm just being blindly optimistic that it's actually Newcastle being good as opposed to Forest being bad. But God, he's good, isn't he? My prediction for this is that Bruno Guimaraes will be in the team of the season, also possibly nominated for player of the season. Guimaraes, team of the season, possibly player of the season. Big shouts. Okay, we're on to Forest now. This is the moment you've been waiting for, because to be honest, it's probably a lot of Forest fans watching, because it's probably just my family. Hi, Mum and Dad. Yeah, so Forest, and this one is probably going to shock a lot of people, and it's probably me being very blindly optimistic, but I think if Forest find their form, and I do believe they will, that Brennan Johnson will get 15 plus goals and assists in the Premier League. I think he's that good. He's an incredible talent, and I think we saw it in his first season in the Championship last year. He just adapted so well. He stepped up from League One in his time at Lincoln, where he was brilliant. And then he did exactly the same thing in the Championship, embarrassing teams at times. I think the Blackpool game away comes to mind, and then obviously the Sheffield United home and away legs in the playoffs. Both times he was just on it. He was just on it. And he comes up at crucial times to score big goals, and I think there'll be a lot of crucial times in this season for Forest, and I think their main man, despite all the signings we've made, the main man will be Brennan Johnson. So for that reason, Brennan Johnson, Forest stay up, by the way. They're not one of my relegated teams. Blind optimism, maybe. 15 goals and assists for Brennan Johnson. So now then, guys, we're going to move on to Southampton. And unfortunately for Southampton fans, you guys are my third and final team, I believe, are going to be relegated. And it's a weird one, because I think the signings you've made this summer are really, really promising. When you look at the likes of Aribo, Bazunu and Lavia, there's some fantastic signings, but a lot of the players they have brought in, and two of those included, are still very, very young. And I'm not sure that lack of experience is going to go too well. I think it's age and inexperience combined. I'm not sure they'll be able to step up to this level. So, unfortunately, Southampton, you are my third and final team to be going down. But I think you have a fantastic squad. Just in 5 years, you'll come straight back up with that squad, you will. But for now, off to the Championship. Now, nearly there, and we're going to talk about West Ham right now. And this one's very simple for me. I'll say it closely to the mic for dramatic effect. Conference League champions. Yeah, that's right. West Ham United with European silverware. How good does that sound, West Ham fans? I really think you guys are going to do it. I think we saw what you could do in Europe last year in the Europa League, and you're in, not even arguably, it is a worse competition this year. I think you'll storm it. I think the biggest competition right now, obviously Europa League teams drop down into it. But right now, you look at OGC Nice and you look at AZ Alkmaar, and probably they're the only two teams that I would be worried about. I don't think they'll be too much of a trouble for you, either club. And I think any team that drops in from the Europa League probably won't want to be there, to be honest. I don't think they'll have the motivation, and I think West Ham will be really, really up for it. And for that reason, West Ham, Conference League winners. But it will affect your place in the league. You guys aren't going to qualify for Europe unless you win the Conference League this year, is my opinion. I'm going to go for like 9th, 10th in the league. I don't think you'll have a bad season, but it won't be last season, let's put it that way. But you will have silverware. Swings and roundabouts. And before we get on to my top 3 predictions, Wolverhampton Wanderers. This hand will be, I'm aware of the waviness of this hand, don't worry. I think that you guys will be the worst of the surviving teams. I think you guys are going to finish 17th. I think it could swing either way. I think you and Leeds are sort of interchangeable in that bottom 3 for me. Your squad is not good enough currently. You signed Goncalo Gedge, which I think is a good signing, but it's not enough to replace the hole that Jimenez is going to leave. And let's be honest, Jimenez is so injury prone now. When is he going to be back consistently and sort of run of games that he needs to get the form that's going to keep you guys competitive? And I think the loss of Connor Cody, despite maybe not, he probably wouldn't have got in over Collins anyway, but he's a leader, he's a figure in the dressing room. I'm really surprised you guys have let him go. And I don't think it looks good for you. I really don't think it looks good for you. You guys will be the worst of the best, or relegated. You and Leeds are kind of flapping around the relegation zone for me. Right then, we're going to move on to the top 3 now. The moment you've either all waited for, you've just skipped because I told you earlier. So we're going to go for the 3rd and 2nd now, because this is sort of my prediction for these 2 clubs. Spurs are going to finish above Liverpool this season. And how they're being run currently and the signings that they've made are smart. I think they all just add to an already very, very good squad. There's an aura around Liverpool right now, and maybe it's a knee-jerk reaction after a draw with Fulham, but I'm just not convinced. Not to say I don't think they'll be a competitive team. I think the top 3 will be all really tight, but I just don't think Liverpool will be 2nd or 1st this year. I think maybe they'll drop off, and I think maybe Spurs will pick up on that. So moving on to the champions. Who are the champions? Of course it's Manchester City. That's not the controversial opinion. That will never be a controversial opinion. But my opinion, I reckon, will, divide people, is that Erling Haaland will break the record for most goals scored in a season in his first season. Maybe I'm on a bit of a hype train with Haaland. I know in pre-season he had a few shockers, but I just think he looks incredible. And I think if you look at the way that he complements the sort of playing styles of De Bruyne and Rodri and Bernardo Silva and Grealish, actually, we're seeing Grealish come into the game more because Haaland is doing a lot more central work. But the balls, especially that De Bruyne can play into Haaland, just seem to suit him so well. You saw it against West Ham, where it just cut the defence open, and a lot of strikers wouldn't get that, and Haaland just has that sort of freight train energy that is unstoppable, and I think he'll adapt so well to this league, and I'm excited. I think he's a fantastic player, he's a great character. For me, Manchester City champions, Erling Haaland, record breaker. And there you have it, guys. They are my controversial opinions. If you're still here, thank you very much for watching, because it's a random stranger talking at you for probably what is 15-20 minutes, so you've done well. Hopefully that means you liked it. If you did, why not subscribe, stick around, it'd be lovely to have you here. Yeah, it's all very new to me, to be honest. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment, let me know how I did, what I could do better, what I did well. Hey, your opinion matters to me. But yeah, please do leave a comment, please do leave a like. Hopefully I've not offended you too much that you won't come back. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.